As you can see here, this is the demo file for this class, and here if we click on the render and go to render elements, we need to add all of those: reflection, global illumination, lighting, sample rate, specular, refraction, normals, diffuse, and SSS. It's been added automatically in this scene, but if you're doing some other samples on your own, you are more than welcome to check it out. So how do you add? You click on add, and you can choose and add those elements. Let's add Z depth. Okay, now let's click render and let our render to start calculating. We're using progressive mode. As you can see here, the longer this image being rendered, the better quality becomes. So here we can view this in 3 channels: RGB, and we also have alpha, so we can see only the tray. This is the alpha. We also have luma. This is the black and white. Here we have the option to save it. We can clone it, or we can save it as V-Ray OpenEXR file, or we can save it as V-Ray, a copy of V-Ray image, VRIMG. This one includes all the passes together, and then you can use a plugin in order to extract those passes, or you can use software like Nuke in order to extract those passes from that software. Okay. Now the next one is load image. We can load whatever we rendered. Copy current channel to clipboard. We can copy that, and here I'm going to stop it, and we have the clear image. If I click it, we're going to clear the entire render, and we're going to lose all the channels and all the data. So I'm going to click render again, let it run. So here we have duplicate, so we can duplicate our frame buffer from the current state that it was rendering. Gonna continue my render here. We can use the option follow the mouse. So everywhere I'm putting my mouse, the quality becomes better. You can see in every spot the quality becomes much better. So if I want to render this, I'm going to have to follow my mouse option and have a much clearer quality to that particular part. You can use it also in the bucket mode. You will see a bunch of buckets running after your mouse, so that's a cool option. We can use region. I'm gonna stop again, so you can see we can stop it here or here at the frame buffer. So I'm gonna drag my region with this option, click render, and in that case only that image will be, only that part of the image will be rendered. Gonna stop again, exit my region and click render. So you can see the progressive, we have first pass, second pass. So the more passes that's been added, the quality of image is going up. Now on the left hand side we have our passes. So we have alpha, reflection, global illumination, a little grainy, but if we let it run for more time it will be much more smoother. Lighting, sample rate. This one is actually showing us which parts of the image being calculated fast and which less. So the red are those parts that's going to take more time, and the blue, complete blue, are those parts that didn't take long time to render, and the green is kind of in between. Okay, so this gives us good indication on how the render being calculated. Specular, very beautiful pass. As you can see here, all the blurry reflections. V-Ray refraction is the one that stands behind the glass, so everything that's seen through the glass going to be in this pass as this clock. It's got a glass in front so we can see through. V-Ray normals, it gives us this depth, we can use it, kind of gives us bumpy look to that. I use V-Ray normals for textures, not really for post-production. Diffuse filter is the basic texture without any GI, lighting, or anything influencing it. So it's a pure texture, you can see pure color. V-Ray SSS, as you can see here, our cookies got a little bit light transmission here, so it transmits just slightly through, so we have it in the SSS file. And the Z depth, as you can see, we didn't really set it up, but we can use in order to control the depth of the image and have some depth of field. Okay, I'm gonna go back to RGB, original one, and let me show you the V-Ray frame buffer functions here. So we can see we have a bunch of those. Open lens effect, I'm gonna see that in a second. Stereoscopic, history, and then we have LUT, and we have curves, levels, and different color correction tools. So if we click on this one, we'll be able to launch that panel. And here we can control that image while it's rendering. So if we want to add more light, we can control the exposure. If it's too overexposed, we can reduce the high burn in order to bring that exposure into the right values. Okay. Contrast, we can add a little bit contrast to our image. White balance, same thing like in a regular camera, we can add a little bit warmer lights. Hue saturation, we can completely change the saturation here of our image and play with the lighting. And those buttons here to reset it, so I'm going to reset it. Each panel has a reset button. Color balance works very much similar to the one in Photoshop. So I'm gonna go to midtones, same thing, add a little bit yellowish and reddish. And in order to balance it, I'm gonna add a little bit bluish and cyan. On the shadows, I always like to add a little bit blue. Yeah, somewhere there. Levels, if we want to add more contrast or see the histogram, very useful thing. Curves also, we can do the curve in order to control our high tones or mid tones or dark tones. Background image, we can add the background image if we have. LUT is actually the one that allows you to save the configuration that you did, but we also have an option here in globals. If we click save, go to assets and call it V-Ray frame. VF frame buffer 1. We can save that. So now I'm going to reset all of those guys. Oops. Reset. Reset. And after the whole thing being reset and turned off, I can go and load wherever I just saved, and voila, we get our color correction back again. Okay, so let's go and explore the bloom, the lens effect here. It's a pretty cool one. You can see we can add cool glow to our image. We can add some glare. Something like this, very nice, warm and soft. And as you can see guys, everything from that panel. Now if we click on the history, we can open our history here. Let me close the bloom here. We need to start it, and we need to click use project path. click OK. So this is where it's saved. All the images been saved in RAM, so it's going to use those images and pull them out from that path. Okay, now we're going to save that. Save that image right here, and now what we can do, we can change the tone to be bluish, and let's stop this and change also the color of that watch to be kind of yellowish greenish, maybe orange like that. Okay, now we can click render again, and as the progressive render goes further, we start getting nice quality. So here we have pixel aspect, and we have stereoscopic for the VR, and we have also show your history. This is the history, LUT, and here we have all those buttons that we use here. We can control them from that bottom panel. One last thing is this cool panel here. You can open it from this by clicking it on this icon, and you can save all the information that you rendered in order to remember what you did earlier. And as you can see here, 8 minutes, primitives, frames. Let's see the table here of those charts. So if we add V-Ray core, it will put how much cores we have, so you can actually see which computer rendered what, date, width, height, a lot of cool, which windows, which camera, how many passes. So all of that information about your rendered image can be stored and saved in order to have a better comparison later. Okay, so I'm gonna close this and stop my render, save it, and now we have two images here which we can compare by using A to B. So this is going to set as A, this is going to set as B. Now we can control and see the difference between two images and pick whatever is working for us better. Alright, so those are the options of V-Ray Frame Buffer. Practice those techniques.